strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. Tell me that again, how it does not matter who the host is, because it is that lovely thing that we do, which is, that show that we call the Rated R Safety Show, where we ask you to forget about the corporate bullshit, because that's the fun part. As we do this show right here, and some people like it, some people don't, and it's okay because we still have both that watch and listen and do all the aspects. Some people get upset that we started off with forgetting the corporate bullshit, because there's a lot of, rigmarole. Yes, and I will say rigmarole that is expected for you to do as you are doing the stuff that gets to be done. Anyways, today's Friday, October the 21st of 2022, day 294th of the year, and only 71 days left to go. Anyways, we are broadcasting, live. Yes, live as it gets. We're coming to you live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and we are being, distributed across the multiverse of the crap that we do here, known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Yeah, hanging out with our friends and colleagues at Radio Big. That is what we do. That is how we hang. That is how we bang. Anyways, it is Freeform Friday, so let me kind of give the explainer-ainer on what the hell that means to you as you are taking a listen to what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because it's an easy aspect of what we do on Friday. It's freeform. So it means we'll talk a little bit about this. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll jump here. We'll jump there. Some people will be around and they'll wear no underwear. Okay, hold on. That's something else. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about everything that is going on with no rhyme or reason of what is going on. If you want to interact with the show, it's kind of a simple process on doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com, and they'll take care of everything for you. So that'll be kind of the simple process in doing that. So you go in, you do the callinradio.com or stuff, and that will get you here. And that's kind of the simple process of doing so. So with that being said, a lot of stuff going on already as I've been taking a look around, because I've been kind of sitting here taking a look and trying to make the determination on what we need to be doing next. And I think it's kind of funny that as we take a look around and move and groove on to this lovely safety world of ours, it's amazing the amount of crapola that we're seeing out there. Listen, I'm going to tell you, there are means and methodologies to a lot of the stuff that's out there inside of the world of safety, and they're actually put into components on the way that they should be done, opposed to you taking a branch of it and saying, oh yes, this is going to be the how I'm going to monetize my business. I've been kind of amazed on where people are breaking down processes that need foundational parts, but people go, I'm just going to take this process because I know that some other people are doing the foundation extremely well, so I will just take this process and move forward with it. It just doesn't click. It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't make any kind of sense on the things that are going on. And yeah, it sounds like I'm starting off with some complaining, and maybe that is some of that as we are talking. So I have to bring this up because it happened again last night. So last night or yesterday evening, I get to hang out and do some class stuff, which is kind of cool to do. and hanging out with a client and doing the stuff that we get to do. And they have this habit, and we've done classes with this client several times, where they hit that magical button that if you've been on Teams, it occurs. And it's that mute all button. It's the mute all button that mutes everybody, even the presenter. And listen, I understand that if this is like the first time to the rodeo and this occurs, I get it. But when you've done a class over 15, and I can even probably phrase that even better, after you've done a class over 50 times, you have to understand that the mute all button is exactly what that means. Mute all. It mutes everyone inside of the sequence. I just don't understand on how we are this far in to everything that's been going on inside of the world, and we still have the problem with the mute all button. It's very confusing. I mean, it doesn't say mute some. It does say mute all. What a weird thing. What a weird thing to click. Let's go ahead and mute all real quick. I know some people feel like they should be doing that right now for what we have going on. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about what was trending in the overnight, and it wasn't mute all.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about it because it was all over the place as we were taking a look, taking a gander, and taking a pursuit to things that were happening. So Liz Truss landed in Twitter's top 10 trends after announcing her resignation as the Prime Minister of the UK. Yeah, resignation. Prime Minister of the UK. How long was that lived? A shakeout was trending in honor of the world's largest earthquake drill held annually on the third Thursday of October. Also, Taylor Swift was trending yesterday ahead of the midnight release of her new album, Midnights. Yep, that would be what it was called. The Crown landed on Twitter top 10s after Netflix announced the show will return on November the 9th. And then last but not least, Do Not Comply was trending on Thursday after the CDC announcement planned to add COVID-19 vaccine to the list of recommended childhood vaccines. So I'm kind of curious about this one. And I'm going to reference it, and we're going to talk about it for a moment. But you are aware that when you have the recommended childhood vaccines, depending on how the school district works, this could potentially be a requirement from the school district of you having to have your child to have that. So how is that going to work for some? Especially if you were anti doing the vaccine. Because it becomes a whole weird world then of, well, I'm not doing it, but I am doing it, but I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because all of a sudden, if you go, well, you have to because that is the requirement of the district, how is that going to work? The other thing that comes about is if you start being able to pick and choose which ones they are, which other ones would you avoid? I'm just asking the question because you know that this is going to be a topic of conversation. I'm not just sitting here to say, hey, I'm kind of bored, let's talk about something, but it is something that we realistically have to start thinking about. So what comes to mind with that? What is it that, persuades you one way or the other? It's an interesting thing to think about. So think about that for a moment. Anyways, if you're not familiar with the show, we talk about safety in the news and safety. So we'll talk a little bit about everything today. We'll talk about some things that are going on inside of the world of safety, some of the things that are going inside of the world of news. We bring in some professional broadcasters that claim that they know what the hell they're talking about, and I hope so, because it's important for them to know what they're talking about. So with that being said, I think it is time for us to bring in the pro broadcasters, let them talk about the stuff, and then we move forward. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do it right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The number of sexual assaults in recent decades has soared in what's being described as a landmark study published Thursday. Researchers reported ER visits by adults who were sexually assaulted shot up from 3,600 in 2006 to more than 55,000 in 2019. The Supreme Court is under heightened security after two incidents happened within the same hour this week. New court documents obtained by CBS News shows that a California man was arrested Wednesday for trying to unlawfully enter the High Court's north door. The documents say 73-year-old Melvin Marby told police he was at the court to meet with Chief Justice John Roberts and wouldn't leave until he was allowed inside the building. Marby's arrest came just minutes before another security issue on Wednesday when police found guns in a van parked outside the Supreme Court. A federal judge is blocking the state of New York from banning guns in church. Trey Thomas with more.
U.S. District Judge John Sinatra on Thursday issued a temporary restraining order against a New York law that forbids guns in places of worship. Last week, two church leaders sued the state, saying the law ran counter to the gun rights spelled out in the Second Amendment. The judge cited a Supreme Court decision from last June that struck down New York's previous gun law, which barred people from carrying a handgun in public.
The Pentagon is setting up measures to protect service members' rights and access to abortions no matter where they're stationed. Mark Mayfield with more.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a memo Thursday the steps the Department of Defense is taking include providing travel and transportation allowances for service members or members of their family if they have to travel to another state to receive care. The DoD also will protect military medical providers who performed covered abortions if they're charged with civil or criminal complaints. A Pentagon official said the policies should be in place by the end of this year.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Feature story, News in London. I'm Ollie Barrett. The Conservative Party is beginning the process of choosing a new leader who will also become the next UK Prime Minister. Washington says Iran has sent military experts to Crimea to help Russia launch drone attacks on Ukraine. Australia and Japan are deepening bilateral relations with a new security pact in response to China's military build-up, and Japan's core consumer inflation rates accelerated to a fresh 8-year high.
Always replicated, but never duplicated. Rated R Safety Show.
Wildfires raging in the Northwest are giving Washington and Oregon the worst air quality in the U.S. The federal website airnow.gov says the top 10 locations in the U.S. with the worst air quality on Thursday were all in those two states, with number one being in Oak Ridge, Oregon, about 150 miles south of Portland. The biggest cities on the list were Portland and Seattle, which are both being blanketed by wildfire smoke. The region is expecting some rain today, and state officials hope it's enough to aid firefighting efforts and improve the air quality. Actor Kevin Spacey is being found not liable in a $40 million civil sex abuse case. Lisa G. reports.
Spacey was accused of making unwanted sexual advances against actor Anthony Rapp in his New York City apartment back in 1986. Rapp was just 14 years old at the time. On the stand, Spacey said he had no memory of the event and has repeatedly denied any misconduct. The lawsuit by Rapp has been dismissed. Lisa G., New York.
Sales of existing homes are hitting a level not seen in a decade. Tom Costello has more on the further evidence that the red-hot inflation may be putting a chill over the economy.
Home sales in September fell to a 10-year low, down nearly 24% from a year ago. A fast slowdown, with the Federal Reserve aggressively hiking rates to combat runaway inflation.
The National Association of Realtors says sales fell by 1.5% last month from August, now falling 8 months in a row. The ongoing drop comes as mortgage rates price many out of the market. A new loan on a 40-year mortgage now averages nearly 7.4%. That's a 22-year high and more than double where rates were a year ago. A surge in respiratory illnesses among children is beginning to put a strain on hospitals. Cases of respiratory syncytial virus, known as RSV, are now quickly rising in at least 32 states, according to CDC data. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com/one. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. Currently 19 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Freeform Friday. Yeah, Freeform Friday is the Friday that is a form that is free because you are starting to feel free because you want to break free, and that is what you're about to do later on this afternoon. Unless you're one of the people that get to work on the weekends, then you're not going to break free. You're going to do something entirely different because that's kind of how that goes. So let's talk about what is going on in this marvelous world of ours, our marvelous simulation that is going on. So take a listen to this from the side of the hit list that we need to talk about. Now that Elon Musk once again has poised to buy Twitter and take take it private. More rumors are swirling about his plans for the platform. The Washington Post reports that Musk intends to cut 75%, yes, that is 75% of the Twitter's existing staff, which currently has about a headcount of 7,500. Those same sources indicate that Twitter was looking to nix about $800 million out of the payroll budget by the end of next year, too, but no word on how many jobs that would equal. Musk has mocked Twitter's generous work from home policy that has continued well past the initial unconstitutional pandemic lockdowns. Unconstitutional pandemic lockdowns? Now, is that his opinion or somebody else's opinion? So this is going to get where it's going to get interesting, because if you are aware, the people at Tesla have to work from the office. So will this occur with the people from Twitter? Twitter. Because that's going to be the next conversation to have, of course. Take a listen to this. If you always seem to be the one singled out by mosquitoes when you're outside, even around a bunch of other people, it might just not be in your head. As year-long studies published by the Science Journal of Cell had 64 participants wear a nylon stocking on their arms to absorb the scent. The stocking were placed on long tubes, and the swarms of mosquitoes were unleashed. The most favored stocking turned to be 100 times more powerful than the others. When the test was repeated in subsequent years, it had a similar result. Analysts suggest that the preferred stocking belonged to people who had certain naturally occurring acids in their skin, and were much more they could do about it either, and or even eliminate the chemical. Fortunately, the researchers are using their findings to help develop a better repellent technology. Now, listen, I don't know if you know this, but I will reference this because I have read a lot of these mosquito studies, and this is not a joke as I say that, because I tend to have the mosquito issue that I get attacked. But if you have O blood, yes, O blood, for some reason they seem to want to attack you a little bit more than they want to attack other people, and it just doesn't make sense to me. But I guess that's what we talk about, a little bit of everything that goes on.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, Forbes reports the Chinese company behind the social video app TikTok had a program in place to target physical locations of specific app users in America. It's no secret that tech companies use the bulk gathering of the data to refine algorithm, which is spooky enough, but that's why the search of the toaster on Amazon once all of us see is ads for toasters everywhere you go. But if in the case of Forbes reports, the company was planning to use this location information to surveil individual American citizens, not to target ads or any other purpose. Per their own reporting, Forbes says that there is no proof that the program was ever implemented beyond tracking one individual person. That's just based on whatever documents they were able to obtain for the review. Worth remembering, back in 2020, former President Donald Trump sought to ban TikTok in the United States over national security concerns, but we kind of know how that all went. I, at some point, really did believe that the ban was going to go through, because it looked like it was on the uppity up or the downity down, depending on how you want to take a look at it. If you're a favor user of the TikTok platform or not, that would probably be another conversation for another time if you really kind of give it a thought.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Okay, so take a listen to this. The National Student Clearinghouse Research Center reports that Thursday the U.S. college and universities experienced a 1.1 decline in undergraduate enrollment year over year for the fall semester. As the NPR reports, concerns about student debt and strong labor market for unskilled workers and questions about college affordability, particularly at the four-year college, are the major factors of keeping prospect students away from getting a degree. Worth noting, these are all very well-known good factors. So keep that in mind as we are talking. So I got some heartbreaking news, so let's talk about this. Inflation and a bad wave of avian flu is expected to make Thanksgiving dinner 75% more expensive this year. The Department of Agriculture reports that the average size turkey is up 42% and potatoes are up 17.5%. Nationally, 47 million chickens and turkeys have been killed before going across the 42 states to stop the spread of bird flu. 6 million of those were just last month alone. So think about that as we are talking. So have you noticed like a rise in prices when it comes to certain things? Because now what it's going to make you think about is what the cost of actually doing stuff when it comes to Thanksgiving. Just the way that the world goes. Think about that for a moment. So let's talk real quick about some other things because that's going to be important. I think that we are close enough to bring in some John Smalls and him tell us about what the hell is going on inside of the market beat. So let's do that right now.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Friday, October 21st, 2022. Equities went on a wild ride Thursday, first rebounding only to peak out midday on comments from the Fed. Fed President Harker made comments to the effect that inflation was not under control. The FOMC was still hiking rates, and the additional rate increases could be large. The market made an abrupt about-face on the news, confirming resistance at the short-term 30-day moving average for the third day in a row. If the market cannot break this trend, the odds of a pullback to 3,500 will grow to near certainty. The next FOMC meeting is less than 2 weeks away, and the CME FedWatch tool is pricing a near 100% chance for another historic 75 basis point interest rate hike. Between then and now, the PCE price index for September will be released, and it is likely to be a hot one. The takeaway now is that 75 basis point rate hikes could be on the table until inflation comes down to a manageable level. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for that one. Currently, let's see, 27 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Friday. So here's what I was able to find. The Dow lost about 90 points on Thursday to close at 30,333. The S&P was down 29 points to close at 3,665. And the NASDAQ slipped about 65 points to close at 10,614. West Texas Intermediate traded at just under $86 a barrel on Thursday, and Brent crude settled at $92. The national average of the price of a gallon of gas was $3.84 on Thursday, and Bitcoin remained mostly flat on Thursday, losing about $85 in the evening, and a nod trading just over $19,000. There was about 2,645 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Thursday, and about 47 of them such cancellations, which that reminds me, because I have not mentioned it this week. I had briefly been talking about this, so let me reference it real quick, about next month wanting to go down to Mexico. And I was thinking about going to Quentin Rue for us to do kind of like a broadcast thing. And plans were in place. Things were done to get everything moving and grooving. But there was this mofo that came around by the name of Ian and kind of ruined some of my plans. So because I've had to move and groove some things around at Casa de Allen, I'm going to have to put it on the back burner to be able to go out. So I wanted to share that with you. But I really had thought that this was going to be the year following up from last year of us to go down to Quentin Rue and do some things over there. But unfortunately, after my mofo Ian showed up, I am unable to do this. So I apologize about that. I really thought, because here's the thing. We were going to do some broadcasts from there. But I have this bad habit that when I go down to Mexico, I like to stay there for a period of time. And, well, unfortunately, with that being said, it's just not going to be able to happen this year. So sorry to be, the bummer of what's going on, but I figured that we needed to talk about it. But on the plus side, let's talk about some video on demand stuff that's available for you today if you're looking. So new to Amazon Prime will be Argentina, and new to Hulu will be Abandoned and Worm. Yes, Worm. So those two things are available for you on Hulu if you want to talk about that real quick because that would be the opportunity to do so. So let's jump around and take a listen to this. A former UCLA gynecologist has been accused of sexually assaulting several patients and has been found guilty of 5 sex-related crimes. The survivors was pleased with the verdict. Take a listen.
Deserves everything that he has coming to him and nothing less.
The 65-year-old Dr. James Heaps was indicted on 21 sex-related charges stemming from claims made by 7 former patients. On Thursday, he was found guilty of 3 counts of sexual battery by fraud and 2 counts of sexual penetration of a unconscious person. Wow. Heaps was also acquitted of 7 other counts, with jurors deadlocked with the 9 remaining charges. The judge declared it a mistrial on the other 9 counts. So, I mean, think about that for a moment. I mean, this is already an uncomfortable thing that people have to do, or that women have to do when they go to the doctor. And you have something to this extent to occur. I mean, this is one of the most jacked up scenarios that you have to think of. And then sexual penetration of an unconscious person. Like, what the freak? I mean, what is going on sometimes when it comes to some of this stuff that it is happening?
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, take a listen to this. Some landscapers in San Francisco Bay got a surprise when they found a bear buried in a homeowner's yard. Take a listen to this.
Into their dig, their shovels hit something. It was the roof of a car. Police in the town of Atherton believe it's been there since the 1990s. Cadaver dogs were brought in, but there were no signs of human remains. They did find bags of concrete in the car. The current homeowners say they had no idea it was there. The whole thing is curious to investigators who plan to spend some time looking into this. I'm Phil Hewlett.
I mean, that has to be an interesting thing. I'm digging it and bam! What the hell is going on? There's a car, and then it gets kind of weird. Anyways, take a listen to this. Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton fame is helping rally Latino voters ahead of the midterms. Natalie Rodriguez has more information.
Reader was in Coral Gables supporting Democratic candidates, as he's done in recent weeks in Georgia and Houston.
And I know that you are sick of the political stunts.
Miranda endorsed Florida Senator Annette Taddeo, who's running to represent the 27th Congressional District of Florida, against Republican opponent Maria Elvira Salazar. On the issues, an NBC News Telemundo poll shows Latino voters side with Democrats on abortion, healthcare, and concerns in the Hispanic community. But on crime and the economy, Latinos lean Republican. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
You know, it's going to be some interesting times, midterm elections coming up. I know that here in the glorious state of Florida, and I will use that term, glorious state of Florida, midterms start as early as next week. So early voting for some. So it'll be interesting to see what the hell's going to happen because, you know, it gets a little strange around this time, but I guess that's something to talk about. Anyways, with that being said, let's talk about this. Royal Caribbean's largest cruise ship to date is getting ready to call Miami home. We got some more Natalie Rodriguez coming your way.
Miami-based Royal Caribbean is introducing the Icon of the Seas. The Icon is still being built in Finland and gearing up to not only be the world's biggest ship when completed, but it will also feature several first-of-its-kind features like the largest water park at sea, the first-ever suspended infinity pool, and one-of-a-kind entertainment and lounge area called the Aqua Dome. The Icon is expected to be completed next fall before arriving at its new home at Port Miami. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
Welcome to the Port of Miami and welcome to the Aqua Dome. So there you go, some stuff going on there. So let's talk about this. When was the last time you went to New York City? You know, New York City. Yeah, let's talk about that because a casino could be coming to the heart of New York City. Jennifer Polzoni has more info.
SL Green Realty, working with Caesars Entertainment on a bid to put a casino in Times Square. The New York Times reports the plan would turn 1515 Broadway into Caesars Palace Times Square and be home to the theater for The Lion King. Opponents like the Broadway League say the redevelopment would bring additional congestion to the area. There's 3 new casino licenses for New York City up for grabs, approved by state lawmakers. Also lots of competition with bids for casinos in nearby Hudson Yards in the city and gaming proposals being readied for parts of Queens and Brooklyn. Jennifer Bolsoni, NBC News Radio, New York.
Hold on, I got a question. Wasn't 1515 Broadway the MTV studios at one point? Now I'm kind of curious about that, but I could have swore that was, because wasn't like 1515 Broadway where TRL used to come about, Total Request Live. You have to really be probably old to remember all that stuff, so just a reference. Anyways, in some serious business, a surge in respiratory illness among children is beginning to put a strain on hospital. Cases of respiratory syncytial virus, known as RSV, are now quickly rising in at least 32 states, according to the CDC. Dr. Juan Salazar, physician-in-chief of Connecticut Children's Hospital, says that the spike is unprecedented.
This level of very quick increase in the number of cases with RSV, and certainly we have never seen it in this time period.
The hospital is talking with FEMA and the National Guard about putting a medical tent in the parking lot as it tries to keep up. Cases are appearing earlier in the season and more rapidly than usual. RSV typically peaks in February, but medical experts say that all bets are off this season with no vaccine for us. The virus frequently infects children under 2. However, it can happen to any age. RSV typically causes mild cold-like symptoms, but people with weaker lungs, like infants and older adults, may develop severe infections like pneumonia. In Richmond, Virginia, Haley Mitchell says that a 13-month-old son was hospitalized.
That was mine and his first time being in a helicopter, and of course it was very scary. The EMTs in the back told me that there was a couple times they had to give him oxygen while we were flying.
So a lot of interesting stuff going on right there. I mean, it's a scary time anyways when it comes to flu-like symptoms and things that are going on. So I can only imagine the fear that one would have when this stuff is going down. That is for sure. Let's talk about some political stuff, because that's what we do. Not really, but let's do it anyways. President Biden campaigned yesterday in Pennsylvania, hoping to boost Senate candidate John Fetterman. Fetterman is locked into a tight race with Republican Mehmet Oz, and former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Steele says that Oz has been closing the gap.
The damage has not been done because of health. The damage has been done because Oz has made an effective case around crime.
Okay, Fetterman was off the campaign trail earlier this year after suffering a stroke. Biden spoke at a fundraiser yesterday and said that Oz is undoing everything Democrats have done. Biden said that the choice regarding the direction that people want to see in this country going. He also went to criticize MAGA Republicans, saying that they are also a different direction than everyone else in America. It was Biden's only planned campaign appearance this week, less than 20 days out of the midterm. Fetterman and Oz face off in a debate next week. So it'll be interesting to see what the hell is going on out there. Anyways, with that being said, currently 39 minutes past the top of the hour. Well, you know what's going to happen, so I don't even know what I'm supposed to say here, because it's going to get weird. It's going to get weird quick.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. Hey, Dad. Your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad. Your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey. Why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes. Currently hanging out. Currently 43 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are doing all the fun stuff that we get to do on this lovely. Did I mention how lovely it is for it being a Friday? It is super lovely as we are talking. So before I get into the things that I would normally reference right now or talk about the music that's going on, let me do this real quick because I think it's important. And remember, it's freeform, so we're kind of going all over the place because that's what we do. But let's talk about this real quick because I think that this is pretty interesting with what's going on in state of the world. But Boris Johnson might be coming back as a Prime Minister of the UK. Liz Truss resigned on Thursday after 6 weeks as being Prime Minister. NBC Molly Hunter reports from London.
Next is conservative MPs put together a shortlist. There is a threshold to get on that shortlist, and former Prime Minister Boris Johnson may make it onto that list. Then once that list is just 2 candidates, it goes to the party members. All of this will be wrapped up by next Friday.
So Johnson resigned after 3 years because of allegations of misconduct. Reuters says that bookmakers are betting on Finance Minister Rishi Sunak to be crowned the Prime Minister, but Sunak was a runner-up to Liz Truss after Johnson resigned. Molly Hunter says that Truss just couldn't restore confidence.
Brief stint at Downing Street, chaotic from the start. Immediately proposing a new budget, sweeping tax cuts, favoring the wealthiest Brits. The plan spooking the markets, tanking the British pound, spiking mortgage rates. Inflation rising even more quickly than in the U.S.
So there you go. That was 6 weeks of that. So there you go. Some interesting stuff as we are talking for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. The song right here is called So Typical. This is featuring Amelia Ali. This is Nobody, No Print. Nobody, No Print. Song's available on Spotify and iTunes. This was our intro song for today. Always glad to bring you some new tunage for you to take a listen to. Anyways, talking about tunage, this is something you can download on Spotify and iTunes. And hanging out on, Apple Music for a moment. You can now find us under the live streaming radio section on Apple Music. Oh, yes, I said that. That's on the radio big side of the house. We really need to talk to some of these people. See what the hell we're going to do with some of the Safety FM stuff. Yeah, but we're going all over the place. So anyways, thanks for this song to being allowing us to play this Nobody, No Print. Because always some fun stuff. Always got to love you some techno mixy-ixy as we are doing it here and doing all the fun stuff. Anyways, with that being said, let me tell you real quick about the most important thing that I will tell you ever. And I did mean ever in my lifetime. And that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you, loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is call 988, text 988, or go to 988lifeline.org. It's an important conversation, not to have sometimes, but all the times. Because listen, people go through mental distress frequently. Things are not easy. This life is not easy. The simulation is not easy. It is something to talk about. And before you make your next decision, understand, number one, you're not a burden to anyone. And understand also, there are people that are there that want to talk to you. There are people that are there that want to assist you. So, this world does not want your perfection. They just want you. Think about it as we are talking on this lovely Friday. Listen, I know sometimes it gets difficult. It's not easy. And these are things that we need to talk about frequently. 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org as we are talking. So I think that we're at that point that we should probably do some motivation stuff. I know that I normally would drop into something else, but hey, you know what? It's Friday and it's freeform and we go all over the place. So let's go ahead and bring John Small in here and let's talk about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Tina. J.K. Rowling said, "Never be ashamed. There's someone who will hold it against you, but they are not worth bothering with." Her story amazes me. Did you know that she chose J.K. portion of her name because she didn't necessarily want people to know she was a woman? Then when she submitted the first Harry Potter book to a publisher, it was rejected. So she went to another publisher, and they also passed on the book. Eventually, she would find a publisher, but there were 12 other publishers who turned her down first. Imagine how dumb those 12 publishers feel now. If you're not aware, J.K. Rowling's net worth is about $1 billion. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. There are a lot of tools for rewiring your brain to be better and increase neuroplasticity. Oftentimes, people lump a number of these tools under the category of meditation. But meditation where you focus on your breathing or one specific spot has generally been shown to improve your ability to focus. In fact, just 5 to 10 minutes a day of such meditation has significant effects on focus and insight. NSTR, or non-sleep deep rest, is quite different. It involves actively defocusing. And finally, hypnosis, that is self-directed, involves a state of deep relaxation with a light focus on a specific problem that you work through, and it can accelerate neuroplasticity and help resolve this problem and find creative solutions. For more information on wellness, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk says the company is not reducing production in a meaningful way, recession or not. Company earnings came in at $1.05 per share, 6 cents more than what analysts had expected, but revenue was $50 million less. Musk also reportedly planning to lay off roughly 75% of Twitter employees once his deal for the social media company goes through. Musk has told potential investors he plans to lay off around 5,500 employees, reducing the workforce to roughly 2,000. Waymo plans to launch its self-driving service in Los Angeles. The Bay Area company did not disclose exactly when its Waymo One service would become available to riders. Waymo currently only operates its service to the public in parts of Phoenix. And Uber is rolling out ads on its app. Ads will come from more than 40 brands, including NBC Universal, Heineken, and United Artists. Advertisers can also buy sponsored listings through its food delivery service, Uber Eats, as well as sponsor email campaigns through the company. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage. I'm talking truth.
President Biden was back at the site of a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh yesterday, touting his new infrastructure law.
Pennsylvania's been able to repair Fern Hollow Bridge in less than a year, and by Christmas, God willing, we'll be walking. I'm coming back to walk over the sucker.
The bridge collapsed in January, but Biden visited the city that same day. Upon his return, Biden said the infrastructure law is doing something about bridges like Fern Hollow. He noted thousands of bridges in the U.S. are in bad condition. He said quite a few are being repaired this year, thanks to the law. And President Biden says Republican Mehmet Oz is undoing everything Democrats have done. Biden made those remarks at a fundraiser for Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman, saying that it is a choice regarding the direction people want to see the country going. He also went on to criticize MAGA Republicans, saying they're going a different direction than everyone else in America. It's Biden's only planned campaign appearance this week, less than 20 days out of the midterms. That's politics. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Tearing the ass out of you like gas station sushi.
Okay, there you go. 53 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out and talking about some reporting stuff that we normally would not talk about. So let's talk about this. Today is National Mammography Day, and the city of Miami is making it with free screening for those without insurance. Memorial Healthcare Systems oncologist Dr. Erica Bloomquist says the mammograms are the most important tool in detecting tumors in early, which could mean the difference between life or death.
We're, identifying cancers as early as we can find them, and on imaging, that's much earlier than we can feel them.
The mobile mammogram bus will be stopping in several locations on Sunday. In order to be eligible for free screening, you must be 40 years of age or older, have not had a mammogram in the last year, with no history of breast cancer. Memorial Healthcare Systems oncologist Erica also says that imaging is such more accurate tool for tumor detection than self-breast exams.
And by finding them when they're at their earliest state and treating them, we can cure the vast majority of women and, again, get them back to leading those productive lives.
And mammograms are the cornerstones of screening.
It is the only test that has been shown in clinical trials to decrease deaths from breast cancer, and that's 40% since its inception in the early 90s.
So there you go. A lot of interesting stuff and good stuff. So if you have not been checked out, you should probably do some consideration now that we're bringing that to your highlight for today. Anyways, Pfizer is expected to quadruple the price of its COVID-19 vaccine after the federal government current purchase program expires. Trey Thomas has more info.
Pfizer executive Angela Lukin said Thursday the price will go to around $110 to $130 per dose. Lukin said she expects the vaccine that's currently provided for free by the government will be available at no cost to people who have private insurance or insurance paid by the government. The vaccine's market is expected to move to private insurance after the nation's public health emergency expires. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, so there you go. Some information right there as we are talking, hanging and banging and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. Anyways, let's talk real quick about some other things that are going on inside of this world, because I think it is important to talk. Because if not, I would be just sitting here looking into a camera going, what the hell's going on? Or sitting behind a microphone trying to figure out what is happening. So think about those things as we are talking. Let's talk real quick about some things that happened back on this date. So if I'm taking a look around and I go back in 2020, Spain becomes the first European country to record more than 1 million COVID cases. The death toll sits about 34,366. That happened back on this date in 2020. If we're looking at some birthdays that are going on today, let's talk about them. Doja Cat turns 27, Kane Brown 29, Glenn Powell 34, Hope Hicks turns 34, Dean Lewis turns 35, Amber Rose turns 39, Kim Kardashian, yeah, that lady, she turns 42 today. Jade Jagger turns 51. Benjamin Netanyahu turns 73. Judge Judy, yeah, she turns 80 today, just in case if you're looking at some birthdays that are going on. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, it's International Day of the Nacho. I think I should celebrate that. It's also National Apple Day, Count Your Button Day, National Reptile Awareness Day, National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. I'm so sorry that I even said that out loud. So there you go. So a lot of stuff that you should give some considerations to. So with that being said, let's get into this. If you need a random joke for today, I am sure that I have one of those for you. And it sounds something like this. Nothing in the world is more expensive than the woman who's free for the weekend. Question? If you need one for a phone starter, what's the most epic way you've seen someone quit or be fired? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this. 10% of us admit that we aren't very good at this. What is it? Spelling. Spelling. Yeah, there's so many programs that are out there that can assist you. Anyways, if you come over with me here in the next few minutes, because I will be going over to RadioBig.fm, coming to you live from the studio there. If you want to come and hang out, we'll take some phone calls, do some fun stuff, but you can come over, hang out with me as we do the things that we do. We have, let's see, what is it? What time is it? We have about 2 minutes exactly at this moment before that starts over there, so you're more than welcome on coming out and hanging out if you want to do that. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, we couldn't do what we do around here, that is for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. If you are positive, you'll see opportunities instead of obstacles. Shit, you probably might not even have excuses on why you can't do something if you really think about it. Anyways, I know who you are. You know who, well, hold on. I know who you are, and then we go, duh. You know who I am. Hopefully I will see you over there at RadioBig.fm. If I don't, have a great weekend. I'm sure we'll speak at some point. That's for sure.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.